Hello and welcome to another jungle guide, and in this one I will be revealing and explaining a jungle route that will allow efficient farming junglers such as Evelynn's, Kayn, Shvyana's to reach their level 6 ultimate spikes sooner and thus maximize the jungle experience buffs that we received in patch 10.4. This was an often requested video after I briefly revealed it in the jungle saved video, and so we will go over variations, reasons why you should do this clear at all, and what champions it's actually good for, as well as how to enable yourself to carry better with this particular clear when you combine it with the rest of your jungle knowledge. Hopefully you enjoy seeing something a bit more fresh in the jungle clear area, so please do consider liking and of course subscribing for more lasers in the future. All of that and more coming up in 15 seconds.
Hey, Rost.
What?
Rost.
What do you want, Kayn?
Hi.
Need to block out the sound so you can focus on your climb? Click the link below to find out about the Sennheiser GSP 370 and GSP 670 gaming headsets to help on your road to Challenger. And so I show you now the classic full clear that a typical Karthus scum would use, as well as many other junglers like Kayn, Olaf, Evelynn, and anyone that can get a leash on their red or blue buff and then sequence all camps within a reasonable time frame. Now the one thing about this clear is that it works wonders if you are Karthus and can just farm the 4 camps on repeat so fast and so quickly that you have more and more time between those spawns to gank, take dragons, heralds, find a moment to press R and pick up some more kills, but ultimately after that first clearing route, that first jungle path, you want to be at least looking to gank one lane. Just like this Karthus does, he gets off a nice tower dive, and then you want to ensure you have at least one scuttle. Go back to base, start from the gromp again, wolves, raptors, krugs, repeat the strategy. And you can keep on doing that over and over again until you get bored and have to start adding in fancy transitions just to make it look interesting. And basically this video is a follow-up to that in terms of what's an additional route you can use while still employing all those good farming jungler strategies in order to gain some free LP basically. So while this is the de facto clearing farming jungle route what have you, it can cause timing issues and XP funneling problems, not actual funnel problems, because if you play that with Yi and Taric you should please just uninstall the game. If your goal is to avoid the enemy jungler, play around your scaling or hard winning lanes, get level 6 as soon as possible for the maximum gank impact, and perhaps not focus as hard on Drakes early unless an opportunity shows itself, then you want to optimize yourself for the ultimate gameplay. Pun intended, defend your jungle, position yourselves for ganks with a specific lane, and then use that ultimate as soon as you can before the enemy jungler even has it up. So you will see the route show up on your screen now with some fancy lasers. The benefit here is that no one has to leash you. You will start on raptors, that's the goal, and therefore no lane can blame you for losing level 1 or 2, which to be honest is nice for the mentality of your team. Now it also gives you control over how you sequence and clear your jungle. Early vision to defend invades is of course important because the ultimate goal is setting up a fast gromp, wolves, raptors, and krugs sequence. And you can even do that the other way around. The idea is simply that they respawn close together. And the reason we start raptors into krugs is it sets them up for phase 2 of this particular pathing. So, you take red third, you head to your blue buff after doing that, and the reason why we like to do it in this particular fashion is that you get your buffs very close together, but also delayed and out of sync with the enemy jungler, which is great if you want to invade later on, take their buffs and then fall back to yours. Secondly, it gives you fresh resources for phase 2. After doing your blue, you have a look. Can I do a crab? Is the jungler ganking bottom lane so I can counter jungle? What options are available to me based upon the information shown on the map? If there is no gank, if there's no invade, maybe you just get the crab, maybe you don't. You simply, after your blue buff, go and do the gromp into wolves, and by this time the raptors would have spawned again as well as the krugs. And then you can sequence on down from wolves into those raptors into krugs. Now if you didn't get a scuttle crab on the top lane, maybe there's one on the bottom side available to you. It will depend entirely on where the enemy jungler is and where they started. So your jungle tracking needs to be activated in your nice big bulbous brain. And in essence, you're seeing a lot of me saying if this is available, if that is available, and that's because all of this relates to timing. So let's go through some examples because this very much is a template on which you base your game plan. Do not copy a blinder without any deviations or adaptations because then basically you're like another AFK auto-attacking ADC player. So this all started with Agurin on EU West and his duo friend and Virkayu on that Kayn mid that everyone commented about. So let's just briefly re-go over this and then we'll look at a low elo example. So this of course is Challenger and it's much easier to do these kinds of things in Challenger, but I'll show you how it can actually work in a mid MMR sense as well. Raptors gets a little leash, into krugs, into red, into the blue buff. The enemy is Jarvan 4, she's not confident she will have the resources to fight him 1v1 in the river for crab. Do not care about the crab then. Take the gromp, into wolves, and now you can simply go from raptors to krugs, but because Jarvan ganks on the top side, that means that bottom side crab is open for the taking. Make sure you go take it. From this you can pose the question, can I invade to counter jungle? Can I gank mid? Can I gank bottom lane? Clearly Jarvan's on top side, he's going back to base. If he did his clear, it's not quite 4 minutes yet, which means Gromp wouldn't even be up. No point in even going there. Let me then head back, take my raptors, take my Krugs, get level 5, and go back to base. And from here, you can ask yourself, is it possible to go sneak a dragon? Look at the lane states, where might the enemy jungler be? Definitely bottom side. You know what, never mind. And so she goes to her Gromp, back to wolves. Because she did the crab, her raptors and Krugs are slightly disjointed with their spawn timings. That's obviously not ideal, but maybe that means now she can actually go for a dragon. But of course, the enemy team is also challenger, so they say no, 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 and they push her off. She's lucky to get away. Jarvan jumps back home because his parents told him to leave the game, and now she has to go back to base instead of, in fact, not even taking the fight and then perhaps doing Raptors Krugs where she would have gotten level 6. So the desire to fight there rather than wait for camps and play a bit more safely actually ends up hurting her. In this case, red buff is spawning and she's very close to level 6. There's no point in doing Gromp. So she heads directly to the Krugs, gets level 6, and now if she wasn't level 6, or perhaps, everyone else was dead on the map, she could sequence up to the red, into the raptors, into the wolves, and into the Gromp, which means the camp sequencing has now been reversed. However, because she hit level 6, you want to use that spike as soon as possible. That's one of the game plan points for level 6 farming junglers. As such, heads to the bottom lane and does exactly that. Now from here, if you have the resources, if your bottom lane is ready to go, the enemy jungler isn't in the picture, you can go sneak the dragon, if it's up. Of course, her earlier skirmish meant that Jarvan did take that dragon, so it's no longer the objective. This means the herald is. So the fact that she ganked in the bottom lane with the level 6 spike, she's starting her camps on the bottom side of the map and sequencing up, means she will actually end up having prior on that, unless of course the J4 understands this and he cuts you off. Now in high elo, yeah, these things might happen. In the end, of course, if you watch that full video, you know that she ends up winning the game quite easily. But in low elo, it's a little bit different. You can play different champions and get away with being a bit weaker because the enemy isn't going to clear properly. The enemy doesn't know how to sequence or track properly. So you have an inherent advantage if you understand how this pathing works correctly. So I'll take some of my own Smurf Evelynn footage here just to show you how this can work in around a gold 2, gold 3 sense. Take your raptors, take your Krugs, take your red buff, head to the blue buff. Because of the fact that top lane was late to show and the fact that he does a level 3 gank on the bottom lane, kind of wasting Kha'Zix's potential there, I don't think you should do red blue Gromp gank unless it's very obvious because it kind of puts you behind. It also means a humble farming jungler, a simple life but an honest one, lets me go and counter jungle your raptors. Seeing as I enabled my big bulbous brain like I told you all to do, I know we took bottom side crab and maybe even try to counter jungle my raptors, so I say thank you very much, wait for the minion wave to go by so I can walk on around undetected and take his Krugs. Now you notice I didn't do my Gromp and wolves yet, and now technically that's part of the game plan, but because the Kha'Zix showed and gave me information, I saw 12 CS, I saw 2 buffs, I immediately knew his clear, I immediately knew his raptors and Krugs were up, so I went and took that experience because my Gromp to wolves to bottom side will always be there for me considering that's the whole point of this particular pathing. However, I have a Casadina versus a Dracula, so I make sure to go mid lane and show him exactly what a succubus can do. Kha'Zix in the meantime had tried another stupid foolhardy gank on the bottom lane. Welcome to gold, I guess. I know he's going to do his Gromp because there's nothing else he could possibly do. Walk on over the top, unseen, say thank you, goodbye. I failed to kill him because I'm old and out of practice, but I still get that juicy second tier Gromp spawn. Now once you go back to base here, you've had a good counter jungling. I've literally stolen 3 camps from his side, and he's only achieved, 4 camps in total? So I quickly go and hold top lane, then I take my Gromp, wolves, raptors, Krugs, a full sequencing clear down bottom. Why? This is because the priority for me is getting that dragon, helping my bot, and of course helping my mid laner again. If I sequence top to bottom, I know I'm going to get that 6 at that stage. So now that I'm 6, all my camps are sequenced, the next one to spawn will be Gromp on the top side and my red buff. So I want to hang around, look for a play, maybe we can sneak a dragon. If nothing else, I can get red buff. I can gank in the mid lane, use my ultimate to actually kill him because he has no flash from my earlier gank. And now you see, as I head towards the top side, I just ding level 7 while Kha'Zix only just dings level 6. When you do this particular farming strategy, it's very difficult for you to fall too far behind because of the experience buffs, because of your intelligence about counter jungling and reacting and reading information on the map. The enemy junglers who spam gank and aren't successful will never have a lead on you. And now you will see highlights of further ganks and skirmishes in which, because I'm Evelynn and because I have a lead, I'm stacking my Dark Seal, there's really nothing the enemy team can do to deal with me. And it's all because I took that template and framed it around what the enemy jungler was doing or wasn't doing in his case. So there's no reason a mid and low elo jungler can't do this kind of strategy to get leads and react to information on the map. And obviously, as you saw earlier, it really does work in Challenger. However, it's important to note that we simply sometimes have a weird early game and it makes sense to start on your red side or at least on the top side buff. And this is because it depends where you want to end your full sequencing and what lane you wish to gank or camp. The Karthus at the beginning showed you how to camp the top lane by sequencing from bottom side up. The Shvyana and Evelynn showed you that you can do a hybridization depending on the nature of the enemy jungler. However, if you want to focus on those Drakes and bots specifically, then soloing your red buff into Krugs and Raptors, you know, the standard level 3 clear with or without a leash, is another option and of course very common. The twist here comes that instead of going from wolves into blue into gromp, you go straight to your blue after Raptors, then you do your wolves, and then your gromp. The reason for this is that it will set up your camps to respawn from Krugs, Raptors, Wolves, and Gromp, which will mean, like my Evelynn example just now, that I hit level 6 on the bottom side of the map. This gives me Dragon Prio and the ability to impact bottom lane. This is the more efficient version if you want to end up on the bottom lane but you're on the red side of the map. However, against Jarvans, much like the Shvyana, perhaps you don't try and fight him. If he invades, you show yourself, you have a battle, you kill each other, what have you. Just make sure your camps are sequenced in the order for where you want to get level 6. That you do your best to look for crabs, look for invades, and look for ganks before you necessarily default back to clearing, because you need to have a positive and aggressive mindset with this, not necessarily in a 1v1 sense, but very much in a I will take control of this game through my experience level, my objective control, my map impact, and I will deny as much experience to you as possible. Just remember to have the adaptation as necessary so that you can actually get away with it. If you're simply sitting in your farm and sequencing your camps without doing anything else, you remember you're not Karthus, you can't press R for global impact, your team might lose with or without you, and that's not what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. I know it can seem confusing with all the moving pieces, but using the templates and concepts should set you up for a very fast level 6, and then you can use that ultimate to basically impact the map as much as possible. I hope you were able to enjoy and learn something. Please do like, share, and comment below if you did. I always like to get around 1,000 likes because it makes me feel like I hit my level 6 beard power spike. Please do subscribe for more videos coming very soon, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.